Divers spend their time exploring some of the most beautiful places on Earth, but the water hides more than coral and fish. But what happens when something surfaces from the darkness no one was ready for? From ancient wrecks to creatures no camera should catch. Here are 30 times divers captured what no one was supposed to see. A group of scuba divers glides through the murky green depths of the ocean, moving together in calm, steady formation along the sandy floor below. It looks like just another routine dive, everyone signaling that they're fine and sticking closely to the plan. Then, without any warning, the calm breaks completely. One diver starts thrashing, clearly losing control, as bubbles erupt violently around her and the others scramble to help however they can. What she does next catches absolutely everyone off guard. In an unforgiving environment like the open ocean, a single moment of panic is all it takes to turn a peaceful dive into a desperate fight for survival. Inside the flooded, deserted rooms of a sunken ship, a deep-sea diver moves carefully through the wreckage. His flashlight sweeps across the debris, expecting nothing more than twisted metal, until sudden movement flickers just ahead in a shadowy corner.
What's that? All right, you found one, yeah? He's alive, he's alive. Okay, keep putting it.
A bare hand reaches out of the freezing dark water. The diver freezes in place. Then the rescue team moves fast, and what they eventually pull from deep inside the vessel turns out to be nothing short of a miracle.
Okay.
Trapped inside a small pocket of air, one survivor somehow held on against odds nobody expected. It's proof that hope can survive even in the most isolated, terrifying places imaginable. A diver drifts slowly along a murky riverbed covered in smooth rocks and thick layers of algae on what seems like just another ordinary day underwater. Then the camera tilts downward and he stops cold, pointing toward a strange moss-covered shape resting quietly on the bottom. Curiosity gets the better of him and pulls him closer. He digs into the soft mud to carefully lift the object free, and the moment it clears the silt, the entire mood of the dive shifts. Finding something like this in the middle of nowhere raises a wave of chilling questions, proving that you can never be entirely sure what dark secrets lie buried deep beneath the surface. A diver swims calmly through open water alongside a few playful dolphins circling nearby. But she isn't just swimming with dolphins today. A massive great white shark glides silently through the endless blue right next to her. The shark's sheer size makes the dolphins look almost tiny by comparison. Most people would bolt instantly at the sight of a predator this large, but she stays completely calm, swimming right alongside it as though it were nothing at all. What she decides to do next is something few divers would ever dare to do. Moments like this put everything into perspective, showing just how small we truly are next to the ocean's most magnificent giants. Two divers float quietly at the surface, watching a huge school of small fish swarm beneath them while a flock of hungry birds dives repeatedly into the waves overhead for a share of the feast. At first, it looks like nature is simply putting on a show, and the divers stay still, tethered in place, and completely mesmerized by the chaos surrounding them. Then the dark water just inches from their bodies starts to bubble and churn violently, and they suddenly realize they've drifted into the exact wrong spot. The open ocean doesn't ask permission before it acts. Step into it, and you're entirely at the mercy of whatever giant happens to be feeding nearby. Off the coast of Japan, a group of divers descends into open water on what feels like just another routine dive. Then something massive drifts toward them from the deep blue, pale, slow-moving, and unlike anything most people ever get to see alive. It turns out to be a live giant squid, its long reddish tentacles trailing behind as it glides straight toward the camera. Seemingly unbothered by divers only a few feet away, almost nobody has ever managed to film one of these creatures alive out in open water. It simply hovers there, close enough to touch, marking one of the rarest sights ever caught on film. Near Bainbridge Island, Washington, a police dive team descends 176 feet into pitch black water, searching for a small Cessna plane that had crashed there weeks earlier. Their flashlights finally cut through the darkness, and the wreckage slowly appears, mangled but eerily intact on the seafloor below. The real mystery, though, isn't the crash itself. It's who turns out to be missing from it. A passenger somehow survived the initial impact, but the pilot is nowhere to be found. Despite thoroughly searching the open cabin and the murky water surrounding it, the team never locates him, leaving an unsolved puzzle sitting at the bottom of the sea. A diver cruises steadily along a sunlit reef, fish scattered across the seabed and visibility clear, with nothing unusual about the dive so far. Without any warning at all, everything suddenly changes. The camera lurches and spins wildly as the diver loses all sense of direction, caught in something nobody ever expects to face underwater. Lightning striking open water is rare enough on its own. Catching it on camera from below the surface is something else entirely. While searching a murky river for lost treasure, a diver stumbles upon a strange black box resting quietly on the bottom. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he pulls it free from the rocks to pry it open. Inside sits a heavy, sealed plastic bag that at first glance looks like it's packed with wet sand or cement. But as he turns the bag over in his hands to inspect it more closely, the truth slowly sinks in. That isn't sand at all. The label confirms it. Cremated remains. He drops the heavy bag and scrambles backward in shock. A chilling reminder that you never really know what's waiting under the surface. A diver floats quietly in open blue water, taking in the calm surroundings. Below, a pale shape slowly emerges from the deep abyss, growing clearer and larger with each second as it rises straight toward his path. The object keeps closing in, finally revealing itself just feet beneath his fins. He holds perfectly still while the massive machine glides silently underneath him, making it impossible to ignore how small we really are down here. Not every underwater shock comes from a predator. Sometimes it's simply crossing paths with something you'd never expect to find at all. A group of divers explores a rocky underwater cliff, enjoying the quiet, until a massive dark shadow suddenly emerges from the haze and heads straight for them. The shape drifts closer with an effortless glide, its true size becoming clearer with every passing second. What eventually swims past them isn't anything close to what they expected. A giant manta ray sails smoothly by, its wide wingspan passing just inches from the group. They stay completely frozen, watching the gentle giant continue its slow path deeper into the ocean. Two divers spearfish along a rocky reef. After landing a catch, one begins reeling it in, as the surrounding water remains calm. But the struggling fish quickly draws attention from a nearby crevice. And what comes out isn't remotely what they bargained for. A shadow darts out from the coral, chasing after the fresh meal. The diver swims backward to protect his catch, but the predator refuses to back off, and the distance between them keeps shrinking fast. In the wild, an easy catch can flip a calm dive into a genuine fight for survival within seconds. A diver kneels quietly on the seafloor, gently interacting with a massive, slow-moving fish nearby. Dressed in a bright red suit, he reaches out carefully to stroke the creature's face. The fish seems to enjoy the attention at first, hovering calmly as he continues to admire it. But wild animals don't stay predictable for very long. As his hand lingers near its mouth, the mood shifts fast. And what happens next isn't what he expected at all. No matter how gentle a wild animal seems, one sudden reaction can turn calm into chaos in the blink of an eye. Two humpback whales glide side by side through open water, and just a few feet away, a lone diver floats in complete silence, watching closely. For a moment, nothing moves at all. Both whales face him directly, close enough that one wrong move could change everything in an instant. One stays perfectly still, while the other slowly shifts position, and all he can do is hold his ground and wait. Up close, the sheer scale of these animals says everything on its own, and the diver hovering beside them makes that impossible to ignore. Combing through a murky riverbed, a diver spots something out of place. A glass jar sitting among the rocks, sealed shut and wrapped tightly in gray electrical tape. He pries it open carefully, and what spills into the water raises serious questions about what's been quietly dumped here and how long it's been sitting there. Whoever hid this went through real effort to keep it buried and out of sight. The camera pans slowly across a dark underwater structure, revealing a massive, prehistoric-looking fish hovering completely still in the shadows. The enormous grouper lurks quietly, its huge body nearly filling the space between the surrounding steel beams. It stays eerily quiet, blending into the surrounding darkness as the diver carefully keeps his distance, seemingly unbothered by the bright light shining on it. But as the diver keeps filming, the fish suddenly shifts, and what happens next shows exactly why these deep encounters get so unsettling. The scariest underwater moments aren't always fast or aggressive. Sometimes it's just the silent, overwhelming presence of something that could crush you without even trying. A diver moves slowly through murky freshwater, Visibility so low he can barely make out a few feet ahead of him. Then something massive comes into frame, resting motionless on the bottom below. A 15-foot alligator sits completely still, resting right in his path. He keeps the camera steady and holds his position carefully. The gator hasn't moved yet, but at this range, that could change in an instant. Getting this close to an animal this size with nowhere to run if things go wrong isn't something most people would ever attempt. This diver did. While exploring the sandy ocean floor, a diver spots a black and white banded sea snake and moves closer to film the venomous creature as it slowly slithers along the seabed. For a moment, it seems perfectly calm, coiling slightly and lifting its head to inspect him. He holds his ground, assuming it's simply passing through. But the peaceful standoff doesn't last long. The snake locks eyes with the camera, and what happens next will make you hold your breath. A quiet moment with a wild creature can turn to panic without any warning at all. A diver's light cuts through murky, dark water, sweeping slowly across the muddy bottom and tangled tree branches. At first, it looks like just an empty, forgotten spot beneath the surface, until something strange creeps into the frame ahead. The light inches closer to the eerie shape resting silently below. The water stays still, but the tension steadily climbs as the full view finally comes into focus. Some discoveries feel unsettling simply because they appear out of nowhere in the dark, turning a routine dive into a genuine, lingering mystery. A light sweeps into a dark, rocky crevice on the ocean floor, revealing a small creature tucked away in the shadows. Bright red and orange tentacles wave gently in the current, peaceful at first glance. Then a flashing light begins to pulse along the edge of its shell, glowing like a tiny neon sign flickering steadily against the dark rock. Hidden deep in the reef, this rare electric clam puts on a light show most people will never even know exists. A scuba diver swims slowly over a bright sandy bottom near large rocks. Everything calm and ordinary, until a heavy metal shape comes into view, resting quietly between the boulders. It looks like an old scrap of metal at first, but it's far from that. The diver moves closer to the rusted, cylinder-shaped object covered in marine growth and slowly reaches out a hand. It sits perfectly still in the quiet water, but knowing this is an active, unexploded bomb turns a casual look into a genuinely serious risk. Some discoveries prove that forgotten history is still waiting for you in the most unexpected places. A spear fisherman moves slowly along the ocean floor after securing a recent catch, and near a rocky patch he spots what appears to be a calm electric ray resting quietly on the sand below him.
An electric ray. Now normally, I turn my shark shield on right after I shoot a fish. I think
at first it seems curious, hovering near his flippers as if it's simply checking him out. But instead of drifting off, it starts acting strange, charging directly at him and relentlessly targeting his leg over and over.
He's finding out. I think he liked it. It looks like he wants to have sex with my leg right here. I'm all in.
A quiet observation turns into an intense standoff fast. Proof that even the calmest-looking marine life can turn unpredictable in a single heartbeat. A diver glides through clear blue water with his spear aimed toward a coral reef, lands a lionfish, and swims off with his fresh catch secured on the pole, while another diver watches nearby. Everything feels calm as he drifts easily over the sandy floor. But the scent of his fresh catch doesn't go unnoticed for long. Several quick shapes suddenly cut into frame, and an unexpected thief makes its move. The ocean doesn't wait for permission, and this moment turns a confident hunter into a stunned witness within seconds. A group of scuba divers explores a dark lake, their flashlights cutting through the black water on what feels like a routine dive, until their beams suddenly land on something no one expected to find down there. Sitting at a small table, frozen in place, is a sight that would chill any diver to the bone. As the group swims closer to investigate, they quickly realize this strange figure isn't the only one waiting down there. The whole setup turns out to be a prank rigged up by locals, but shining a light on it in the dark is more than enough to send anyone into a full panic. A diver swims down carefully to the rocky ocean floor with his underwater camera, positioning himself right in front of a giant Pacific octopus while trying his best not to startle it. At first, the octopus simply stares back, remaining perfectly motionless. But as he keeps filming, it decides it wants a much closer look, slowly raising one thick tentacle. And what it does next to his camera isn't what he expected at all. Even the calmest waters can turn thrilling the moment a wild creature decides to reach out and make direct contact. More than 700 feet below the surface, a commercial diver is hard at work when a massive swordfish suddenly charges out of the darkness and slams straight into him, catching him completely off guard in the pitch black water. He stays calm, likely expecting the fish to swim off and leave him alone. It doesn't. What happens next is every diver's worst nightmare come to life. The swordfish's dangerously sharp bill gets tangled in his life-saving air hoses. With his oxygen supply suddenly at risk, he has no choice but to fight his way back to safety. From inside a metal cage, a diver films a massive great white shark gliding through schools of small fish just outside. At first, it seems completely relaxed, slowly circling the area and simply observing the visitors in its territory. It keeps floating near the boat, its dark eyes locked squarely onto the divers inside the cage. For a moment, it feels almost peaceful as the predator drifts closer. Then, without any warning, its mood shifts completely, and what happens next will surely leave you holding your breath. Even locked safely behind steel, stepping into a predator's home can still turn into an absolute nightmare in a matter of seconds. A snorkeler drifts calmly through clear, green water, holding a spear gun and watching the marine life move below him. He approaches a large school of small fish, and everything looks completely normal as they swim peacefully around him. He hovers near the sandy bottom, watching the school part slightly as he moves closer. It feels relaxed and completely undisturbed until a barracuda suddenly darts out from the edge of the group, and the calm shatters in an instant. The ocean's hidden predators are always watching closely, ready to turn a peaceful swim into a chaotic struggle without a single second of warning. A diver glides slowly through the clear, shallow waters of a coral reef, peacefully admiring the marine life around him. At the same time, a large Titan triggerfish swims nearby, seemingly minding its own business. As the diver keeps filming, the fish suddenly changes its behavior, turning directly toward the camera and locking eyes with the intruder. Before he can safely swim clear, the situation flips fast, and the quiet dive turns into a frantic struggle. A relaxing swim can become a tense standoff within seconds. Proof that even beautiful reef creatures get fiercely territorial when you wander too close to home. A commercial diver enters murky, dark water for a routine job, armed with only a light, moving carefully through the enclosed space around him. At first, the area looks empty. As he continues checking the space, a strange shape suddenly appears out of the dark. He realizes he isn't alone down here, and his calm instantly turns to panic the moment he sees what's waiting just a few feet away. Stuck in a tight space underwater, the last thing anyone wants is an uninvited guest showing up right in front of their face.